Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and at netradio.com, Tijuana. Today, Lietoc and I are joined by Portland, Oregon pianist and composer for keyboard instruments, Mary Sutton. Although you likely know her work as Saloli, she's released 2 bandcamp tapes of piano compositions alongside 2 long players for Kranky Records, 2018's The Deep End and 2023's The Canyon. How's it going, Mary?
It's going well. Thank you.
How's I know we were kind of like talking about it a little bit before, but how's your day been going so far?
Oh yeah, a pretty mellow day. I took a shower today, so that was huge.
Sick.
Yeah.
We love to hear that. And then I think you mentioned you also do teaching.
Yes, I have. I do private lessons, and I also teach at the community college.
Oh, sick. Like what kind of classes and stuff are you teaching at the community college?
Usually music theory, but I'm getting ready to start a group piano class. So I did a little bit of like thinking about that today.
Nice.
Yeah. And I took out all the trash.
Oh, so. That is awesome.
Yep. Pretty mellow day.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like before we jump into like the rest of the stuff, I don't know, like how's like the rest of your year or like sorry, I keep stuttering. How's your year been? The year's almost coming to an end.
Oh my gosh, I've had the most insane year of my life.
Yeah. How so?
I went to Costa Rica just with my husband, then fiance. We had like planned the trip months ago. Mm-hmm. And then I also got married, and then a week after I got married, my album came out, and then a month after my album came out, I had a baby.
Wow.
And that was 2 months ago. So I'm just kind of at this point taking it easy.
Yeah.
Just trying to absorb everything.
Yeah, you're just gonna finish out the year chilling, I would assume.
Yeah. I've had like plenty of adventure, so I don't really need to do too much.
Yeah, yeah. How was Costa Rica? What'd you do out there? What was your favorite thing?
Oh, I really liked swimming in the warm ocean because in Portland our ocean, we don't have an ocean right in Portland, but the Oregon coast, it's very cold.
Yeah.
And I go to Texas, so I'm used to swimming in hot water. I don't swim in cold water comfortably.
Yeah. Which part of Texas?
Outside of Dallas.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I have family that's far out of the suburbs there in Cleburne. So I've been out to that part. I know. Yep.
Yes. I lived there until I was 19, and then I got out of there.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually, okay. I had a really good education though. Like I learned a lot of music in school. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not the case for everybody. So got to say that I had a very good music education with my public school education there. And,
huge shout out.
Yeah. And so that was cool. And there are other things I liked about living there. But I was very motivated to get out of there. So I worked, I practiced a lot of piano, and I was like, I'm going to get a scholarship and get out of here. Did.
So I guess like, where did you end up going to school that like you got your like scholarship and stuff too?
I studied music composition at New England Conservatory in Boston.
Okay. That's sick.
Yeah. It was all the way into Boston at the East Coast. Very cold.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a lot different than Texas.
It was really different. It was really different.
At that time, were you considering, because you were, I'm assuming, practicing a lot on the piano here, were you considering like Mills College, going into kind of that composer world there on the East Coast? Where were you thinking at that time?
I was not aware about any of that at the time. I was sort of sheltered in some ways. I found out about Mills College once I got there, and I even thought about transferring. sort of had like an existential crisis when I got there because I'd been so like tunnel vision, like just get there. And then once I got there, I was like, what am I doing here? What does it even mean to be a musician in the world? Especially a composer. So I was on a concert composing track, but that was not really, so that's like when you like write down all the notes and then you hand them to someone else and then they play it like once at a concert. And,
I see.
Yeah. So, or maybe they record it, or maybe it's available for lots of people to play, but it didn't involve performing and it didn't involve recording at all. So that came later for me, where I realized I could perform music and record it, and that I didn't have to hand it to someone else.
So when did you have that like realization, I guess?
It was a slow realization. After my undergrad, I moved to Portland and kind of started just playing music with lots of people, like very DIY kind of vibes. Like, I had been in conservatory with people who were really studied in jazz and classical and improvisation styles, and then to Portland, and I really found the energy to be super fresh. Just super fresh, like people who hadn't necessarily had access to that education, but had really dove into some bizarre direction that I was like, what are you doing? This is amazing. Like, I've never thought of this. So I discovered lots of different, it kind of opened my mind to a lot of things and started collaborating with people.
Was there like a specific like scene that was going down? Like, where was this like scene like revolving around?
Oh gosh, I've bopped around a bit. Like, I guess I kind of landed in the more experimental music scene at first, and I was playing string instruments at the time.
Wow, yeah.
I grew up playing viola and started playing violin once I started teaching. For a while, I taught violin. It was very challenging, and I decided to stop doing that because it was too challenging. I wasn't feeling like a good fit, but so I was playing kind of like noise violin.
Oh, that's sick.
And then I was playing just intonation long tones violin.
Oh, nice. That is also super sick.
Now, how do you fall into just intonation, though? We've talked with a handful of other composers and other people that kind of get on these tracks, and something brings these people to just intonation, which still isn't really that heavy in composer circles. So,
well, I got into it because I really liked playing long tones.
Oh.
So I just was playing long tones and on the viola or violin and just listening to the overtones a lot. And I was familiar with the harmonic series. I was familiar with just intonation as a concept. And then I met some people who were playing in that system, just long tones, but tuning the tones to the ratios of the harmonic series. So we didn't call things by traditional music theory words. So we wouldn't say like, this is a fifth. We would say this is the ratio of 3/2.
Oh.
Yeah. So all of our scores looked like that. And like we would differentiate between a minor seventh that was tuned one way versus another way. And it really opened up my ear like a lot.
Yeah.
Not just to the subtleties of tuning, but also to the way tones lock in with each other. So that like, even if I'm playing an instrument where I can't tune, like the piano, it allowed me to hear how notes resonate together in a way. So like, I think it altered my brain completely in a good way.
That's sick. So do you still like do any of that style of music at all, like that you're not releasing, or?
I haven't as much because I have a bit of a kind of a shoulder strain. Playing string instruments isn't very comfortable for my body.
Oh, I see.
So I've not done as much. It requires a lot of stamina, and it can get pretty achy.
Yeah. So where'd you
love to in like a world where my shoulder didn't get hurt?
Yeah. So did you just go back to? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maddie.
No, I get that, like, that's a huge strain on an upper back there. I don't know. I've dealt with a lot of lower back pain, so that comes from that realm. And so just to think, though, I don't think I'd ever thought of, like, it takes a lot of effort, though, at a certain point just to keep, like, an instrument going up there on your body for a long period of time, and how that can run down. And for the people that do that for that period of time, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries. I always say I'll never allow my son to play American football or violin.
Yeah. That's
too funny. Likely to get injured.
Yeah,
cello's fine.
Cello's okay, and upright bass is okay, but not the violin.
Not the violin. It's too dangerous.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. Anyways, I bopped around a bunch of scenes, and then eventually I got a hold of a synthesizer, and the rest is history.
That's sick. So I guess, yeah, I don't know. What'd you start doing with your synthesizer when you first got it? Were you like joining any bands or like just doing solo stuff the whole time?
No, I actually did play with an artist and a singer who's incredible. She's in LA now, Kaylee Feeney, and we had some amazing songs, but never managed to record. It was just challenging to get them recorded. We played a few shows. It was super fun.
That's sick.
Yeah, and she's just an incredible singer, and it was really fun. I'm a bit limited with learning different technology.
Yeah,
I don't think it has to be that way, but it's sort of like I developed a skill set in one direction so strongly that learning a new one, I'm always like, it's more efficient if I just use my skill set that I've honed for 30 years. You know? But at the same time, I think that I'm at a point now where I'm a bit, I don't want to say bored, but ready, maybe bored. Like, I'm like, maybe I need to learn some new things now. I don't know. Just give it a whirl. You know?
Yeah, that's sick. And so I guess, is that like kind of where like your records under Saloli came from? Is from learning synth? And
yeah, I liked the idea of playing at a new age sound. I thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
I like this. I like where it's going.
You know, I was like, this was fun. I had a lot of stress. You know, I had done grad school.
Yeah.
I had done this project where I worked really closely with a composer she just passed away this year. Her name's Imohoi Sege Miriam Gebru. And she's an incredible composer, and I helped notate her music and transcribe it. And it took me like 8 years, and it was really detail oriented.
Oh, wow.
And I had to get it right because it felt very important to get it right. You know, that kind of, I've got to get it right. And I needed a break from that. So I was like, okay, I'll just go play synth and make this new age music.
That's sick. So go ahead, Maddie. Sorry.
No, I remember because I could not get that could you repeat that composer's name again, please?
Imohoi. Imohoi. Gebru.
It's such a, oh my goodness. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but I remember hearing that name because you had done an interview with our pals over at Dublev at Contact Wave.
Right, yeah.
And they mentioned that, and then you corroborated and confirmed having worked on kind of the notation stuff there, and to do that for 8 years. Like, it's a realm of study that I think for us, coming from a DIY world where almost we talk with musicians that make a lot of different noise or don't quite get so into the academic field or composer stuff, it's foreign to us to understand like all of the notation scale, or just the necessity to get all of that transcribing right. And I don't know. I'm just so curious about kind of what it meant to you to at least study under that. And in that time, like, were you also looking at other kind of stuff like dissonance or atonal music in that time?
Oh no. Well, actually, I had done that more when I was younger and I was really into it, but then I found eventually that I needed to, it wasn't as emotionally satisfying. I was needing something different. And I think that working on that project, playing that music, which is tonal music, was the first time I had really, in many years, played tonal music. And it really brought me back to that in a really healthy way. As stressful as the project ultimately was, like, I learned so much, and it actually kind of was a healing experience, I would say. It healed me from atonal music. No.
Yeah.
I love atonal music. In grad school, I played some Schoenberg, and it was like so natural feeling. I was like, why does this feel natural for me to play atonal music? So you never know, you know?
Whoa.
I don't think that Saloli's going to do an atonal album, so don't worry.
Okay. We can live with that.
Yeah, I don't think that's what the world needs.
One of the things, though, that at least you had mentioned, and kind of just building off of some of the stuff from that Contact Wave interview, you had talked about, especially in the way that at least you had approached audience performances, how they consider the piano as passive and the synthesizers more active. And again, Saloli, at least under that moniker, you have these two cassettes that are piano based, and then you have these two vinyl LPs that are synthesizer based. And I'm at least wondering, kind of just again, like in concerts and other live shows that you've done over the past 5 or so years, how you've looked at instruments that you use, different kind of spaces that you've performed at, and just how that goes about.
I'm trying to understand the question. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes. Some of the, I guess what I'm curious about is, in the past 5 years at least, with the Saloli project, in certain contexts when you've at least performed these pieces live, have you been kind of skewing towards the synthesizer? Have you, again, just worked on them on piano? And do you notice a difference in how the audience also approaches those pieces?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. I always thought that people would be more receptive to the synthesizer than the piano, because I thought that piano is old and cheesy or something. But it's not the case. People are just as receptive to both. I don't have the opportunity to play the piano for people as often because there just aren't pianos around. So that's kind of sad, but I've gotten to a point where sonically, maybe it's just the amp I have or something, but I'm connected. Really, I had this shift with the pandemic where I started to connect with the piano more because it was like everything quieted down, and I moved into a quiet house. I had been living in a loud building. And
big difference.
Area of town that was loud, like a lot of clubbing. I'd been going out dancing a lot, and just loud, everything loud all the time. And piano is actually still a really loud instrument, but not amplified. Yeah. So now that I've got those albums all out, it's like I think I had been waiting for them all to be out. I'm like, oh, I can do something new, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. But yeah, people like it. People like piano, and people like synth. Who knew?
Yeah. I
didn't think people were going to like the piano stuff. I didn't think so. I was like, they're going to be maybe. I thought maybe people would even be disappointed or something.
Oh, really?
I don't know. The things we tell ourselves, you know?
Yeah, right. I saw that you are going to be playing a show with my friend. He goes by Zapato or whatever. He's from New York. He's coming up soon. Yeah, that's sick.
Cool.
I just remember that right now, and I'm like, oh, dude, what a sick lineup! You guys are playing with like Aunt Annie as well. Like that's like super cool.
Yeah,
that'll be a super fun one. Have you been playing a lot of live shows recently, or not as much because you've like been so busy and stuff?
I actually played one a couple weeks ago with an artist named Via Mardo, who's a really interesting artist, plays theremin and all kinds of instruments.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
It was cool. They it was in the venue it's a converted high school with multiple venues and or businesses that are inside the high school, including a bar that has shows called Show Bar.
That's wild.
They were able to open up an auxiliary green room for me, and I had my baby with me.
Really?
And I was able to feed him in between sound check in the show, and then also like right after I played, and then after that I popped down and watched a little bit of the show.
Dude, that's tight.
It was super tight.
That's really wonderful.
That's really cool.
It was so cool.
Hey, shout out Portland DIY.
Yeah, dude.
That.
Portland music scene is like inclusive. Like that's sick.
Yeah, it was sick. And also exhausting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that also seems like really tiring too. But that's cool. Like
it was fine. You know, sleep is for later.
Yeah, exactly, right?
At least on that tangent. I guess that kind of brings us though, at least to the modern Saloli albums, or to this current era. So you do have these two long players on Kranky, the two kind of main ones, the deepest end, and then you've also got Canyon, which just came out this year. At least, because again, 5 years is a massive difference between. I did not know if the Saloli project was going to return for Kranky. I follow the label religiously, so it was a huge shock when I saw in the inbox kind of that there was new stuff coming, and I was very excited. But what has it been, at least, like, was there to you a shift in those 5 years in terms of what you had wanted to do with the synthesizer there?
I think I just started to, I'm starting to get like more and more open-minded, I guess, with what I can do. And what's sort of acceptable or interesting or fun, or what I'm connecting with, or what I think other people will connect with. And it took me so long for the album to come out because I'm really disorganized in terms of like, I wrote all the music and then you have to get it recorded and then mixed, mastered, and the artwork and everything, and and then the concept, and just every little bit takes me forever. I take a long time on things. And I think I recorded it like 3 times.
Oh wow.
And
were you just like unsatisfied with like the other recordings, or?
Essentially, yes. Yeah. Not like hugely unsatisfied, just sort of like, that's not going to work.
Yeah. So were you recording them yourselves, or were you going to like a studio or something? Or?
I tried recording it myself, and then I ended up, the person who recorded the deep end, Graham Gibson, he's based out of LA. He used to be in Portland, and he was coming up to Portland and was like, I have time. And so we just did it. We just knocked it out.
Sick.
Again, with this album, at least were these compositions that you had kind of just slowly over the last like 5 years been or not 5 years even, but just kind of been checking in with them. You would record. It wasn't quite up to standards there, but you at least saw in your mind, a set of like 8 or so recordings coming together for it.
Yeah, they were the songs I had. No, I had some other songs that didn't make the cut. Basically, I just was writing songs like, in a way, I would play a show and I was like, I'll just write a song for the show. I'll use the show for inspiration for the song. And then I ended up with these songs and I was like, I guess this is an album now.
Mm-hmm.
And then conceptually, it kind of came together, the whole concept with the bear. And then I realized that, so the concept is the day in the life of the bear, but the reality was that it was kind of more like my life.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've got to play this show. And so I'm going to write a song for the show. And this is the song. And so it's just sort of like moments from my life.
Oh, that's really cool.
In that time as well, between the Deep End and then doing Canyon here, had you bought any new kind of gear? Was there anything that you had been testing out? Just curious to kind of see that.
I'm completely boring when it comes to gear.
No, that's so exciting though.
What are you using primarily?
I still use the same synthesizer that I've used the whole time.
That's sick.
The Sequential Circuits multi-track. I actually,
yes,
I have 2 of them now because I thought I should have a backup. I didn't get a second different synthesizer. I just got another one of the same.
That's sick. I love that. Actually,
that's a great call.
Yeah,
I would, if I could, I would have triples of every album I own because they're safest.
Yeah,
I think that's viable.
Yeah. So maybe, I mean, I can't figure out physically how to play them at the same time because, but that's kind of where I'm like thinking I'm going to go is like, well, just use 2 synthesizers, 2 different sounds,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Logically the next step. But setting it up like my hands are kind of at an awkward angle when I'm playing, and because my playing is so physical, and as I mentioned, I have like sometimes I have a shoulder injury, which not all the time. It just gets triggered and then it's like,
flares up
for days. But so things like how I have my keyboard set up can really throw me off.
Yeah.
So do I set it up like an L or like a V or like stacked?
Yeah.
Like how height do I set it up? And like what kind of stand do I use? All of that kind of stuff trips me up. It's boring stuff like that.
I mean, that makes sense though.
But yeah, I'd love to be using 2 different sounds. And then I'm like, oh, then I have to carry 2 synthesizers. That's going to be lame.
That's a pain. You're going to have to get
so
like
maybe I need to get something small. I don't know. People can suggest what I should have.
What at least interests me in between these 2 albums that you've done, and again, they bring it up on the Contact Wave interview, is that Deep End has that kind of Eno aspect to it, and it fits in very much with a lot of the stuff kind of Kranky had released over the years, though, of just really, really solid, great music from singular artists just making compositions. The Eric Satie, I think because of that interview, I'd gone and sought out a random Eric Satie CD I could from my pile of things I get at the library for free. But I kind of can get where they're coming at. Like, that's definitely there in the deepest or the Deep End. But then listening to Canyon, what really struck me about it was there seems to be a few more kind of arpeggios to it. There's a lot more of these lumbering bass heavy beats. And then there's a little bit more of a Baroque character, even kind of to the synthesizers that you bring in. There's a huge outgrowth, and it's a very bright sound. And I'm curious if over the past few years, sonically, you had been listening to different kind of synthesizer works, or just kind of considering different things. Like, it felt like an inversion of Oneohtrix Point Never's riffs at times. I heard in that like so many different things that Canyon was doing, but from a darker spectrum. And Canyon's a very light. It's one of the most jubilant albums I've heard this year, quite frankly.
Wow. Well, I think that I worked through a lot of stuff emotionally. Like I mentioned, I was under a lot of stress whenever I did when I did the Deep End, and that came out, and it was hugely cathartic. I had been pretty doubtful of myself as an artist for a long time, and then to have it received so nicely and generously by people was amazing. And I sort of had to start to learn to not doubt myself and not be so critical, and to trust that if I'm having fun, even if, because I'm kind of like, oh, this sounds so goofy. Like if something sounds goofy, I'm like, oh, this sounds goofy,
Yeah.
No, that's good. I love Goofy. We love Goofy.
Right? And then I started to realize, I was like, I think I can pull this off. So like Lily Pad, that to me is a goofy song. Yeah. And then I started to be like, after like that one almost didn't make the cut because I was like, nobody's gonna like this song. This is a goofy song.
I actually really like that one.
A lot of people told me it's their favorite one.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can't really, you can't really know these things. I just have to trust it came out of me for whatever reason.
Had you found yourself kind of in the past when you were just even over the last decade, like kind of starting to write something goofy or something more lighthearted composition wise, or just on a piano or on a synthesizer and being like, no. And then here is where it was kind of starting to show up and you were like, no, let's just see where it rides, see where it goes.
Yeah. Yes, I would kind of block myself a lot. Like there's a while whenever I just wouldn't play anything tonal or anything in a major key.
Oh, really?
I was really kind of in this very weird headspace for a while. But I like that music. It's not like I don't like it. I liked it since I remember when I was a child and the first time you learned to play a certain type of chord on the piano, it's just these two notes next to each other, F and G. I'm not at my piano right now, but it sounds kind of like a car horn. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, more of that. I loved any time that some music was dissonant as a child. So,
that's actually super sick. Yeah.
Really far in that direction. But now I'm like, I can play goofy songs in major keys and it's fine.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. No, I hope again with kind of you're able to incorporate a second synth there. Directions.
Or maybe like, I'm really hoping to start, possibly I'm ready to start collaborating with people so that maybe people who have different synths know how to turn the knobs.
Dude, that'd be sick.
And like different types of gear collaborate. Like that's kind of where I'm at. I'm a little bit like, I need to get out of my own head and maybe play with some people again.
And again, with both of these albums, because they're getting released on, at least in this case, this is a local Portland label at this point. How did you run into Joel and get kind of a working relationship there with Kranky?
So as I mentioned, who recorded the Deep End, Graham Gibson, they were buds. And I knew Kranky existed because I had heard through friends something about Kranky and Joel. And nothing about really what the label is. Also, Liz Harris lives here, grouper. And I've known her.
And Paul as well from Strategy. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know him personally. But I knew Liz from around, and so Graham just kind of showed it to Joel.
Sick.
Wow.
And I had literally no context other than I thought Kranky was just another Portland label that was just like any other like guy with a label.
Yeah.
So now I know that it was a huge opportunity, and Joel and I text almost every day our Wordle.
Oh, hell yeah, that's sick.
Whoa. That's a little trivia nugget. That's so fun. Is Joel good at the Wordle?
I mean, it's Wordle.
Yeah.
You're good some days, and some days it takes you 6 tries.
Yeah.
And rarely you miss it, right?
I don't do the Wordle. I sometimes help my dad with the Sunday Jumble. That's where the action happens.
Sunday Jumble. Interesting.
Not 5 letters. I need that 6-letter word that's scrambled. I got Toppy this week. I was very pleased with myself.
I'm going to try that. At like 2 a.m. when I'm up feeding the baby. I'm like, what's this jumble?
Yeah. The Sunday
check whatever local newspaper you've got. They've probably got it. It's weird. It's not in the comics section in the LA Times.
Oh,
it's
really?
Like the California section by the obituaries and classified. Okay.
Sure. What a random spot, but yeah.
Anyways, what a great little piece about Joel. That's to me, no, I just think it's really interesting to see these albums on Kranky, and then they still fit in that universe, but also they're very much just, I'm like, oh, it's Saloli just doing stuff in Portland. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't get out enough. I'm not bad at logistics. I mean, I'm good at certain logistics. I guess I'm a homebody. I keep things simple. I stay home. I teach my lessons. I play the same instruments that work. You know, when I was younger, it was all about pushing boundaries, trying to do new things all the time. And now I'm like,
now you found what
works. But maybe that's like the next chapter is going to be try something new again. Hopefully. I think I'm ready to try something new.
That'd be cool. Yeah, thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. and NetNet Radio every Wednesday at 7. Thanks so much. This has been Saloli out of Portland.
Thanks, y'all.